Hello and welcome to the EggBanana podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mark.
And I'm Edward.
Have you ever experienced discrimination? Have you ever discriminated against someone else? Get ready for an honest, thought-provoking discussion.
So in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about discrimination. So discrimination is the act of making unjustified distinctions between human beings based on groups, classes, or other categories to which they are perceived to belong to. People may be discriminated on the basis of race, gender, age, religion, or sexual orientation. So I'm just curious. I'm sure the listeners out there want to know about it. Mark, have you ever had to deal with discrimination?
I don't know if you would consider this discrimination, but I do remember when I applied to study Japanese at Kyoto. The principal there asked me to write a short sentence about why I wanted to study in Japan. And I remember he had me rewrite it like 3 or 4 times. And then I asked him, so what do you want me to write? And
This was in English?
yeah.
Okay.
And he told me, can you write something like that I wanted to study Japanese in Japan, and then after I finish that, I will go back to my home country and work for a company that's linked or connected with a Japanese company. So my initial thought was like, if I like Japan, and if I want to stay in Japan, why can't I just stay in Japan? Why do I have to go back to my home country?
Right. Why do you automatically have to go back?
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know if that kind of considers discrimination, but I thought it was kind of weird. So
Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I've lived overseas for 16 years now, 6 different countries, and I guess every once in a while I do face a little bit of discrimination, but I guess usually it's more I don't know if it's discrimination, it might be more like stereotypes and stuff like that. People are like, can you use chopsticks, or do you eat rice? I thought you only ate bread, or something like that.
You don't just eat McDonald's every day, that kind of thing?
Right, yeah. But yeah, I think probably the 3 of us, we have experienced very different situations. Maybe in the U.S., you guys may have experienced something that I didn't experience being Asian. And
You're not Asian?
Yeah, well,
okay.
On the inside.
Yes.
Yeah. And then here, I think we experienced different, I don't know if it's racism or discrimination or whatever, but yeah, I thought something that's pretty interesting is we go out somewhere and, people will try to speak Mandarin to you guys because you look like you speak Mandarin, I guess. But for me, they wouldn't even think, oh, this guy doesn't speak Mandarin or Japanese or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
They kind of just completely bypass you to go to us, basically. No, for me, I don't know if Mark had the same experience. I have 2 different versions because being from the States, New York, I was one of 3 Asian families where I grew up in Connecticut. So yeah, I don't know if it's really discrimination. I would say it's kind of sometimes it's not the racism, it's the stupidity. What I mean for that is I remember in 7th grade, a classmate asked, I don't think there was any negativity or racism against it. He just said oh, why do your people use chopsticks? Or someone else just asked me something oh, so you eat dog, right? So it's no, and why would you just ask me that? So overall, my experience in America, overwhelmingly positive, but there is kind of this thing in my I would kind of use this metaphor. It's I gotta wear this armor a little bit, where sometimes you're gonna deal with kind of oh, you're really good at math, or you have a small, I guess I should keep this suitable for work, or so you deal with those kind of stereotypes. When I came to Taiwan, it was the other way, because I felt oh, I could take off the armor because everyone's here is Asian, so no one's gonna use the C word on me or racial epithets, right? But then I get the other thing where it's I had this joke where it's, if you're non-Asian in Taiwan and you say ni hao, which is hello or a form of greeting, Taiwanese people are oh my God, 你的中文很好, your Chinese is so good. But then when I talk to them, I always get the, oh, 你是香港人吗? Are you from Hong Kong? Or 你是韩国人吗? Are you from Korea? Are you Korean? And then eventually I got not fed up, but I start to joke back because I'm very sarcastic. I'll be like, 对, 我是一个韩国明星. Yeah, I'm a Korean celebrity. What of it? So it's kind of interesting. It's I get it in the U.S. and then you come to Taiwan and you're hey, technically I'm Asian, I'm Taiwanese, but they look at me a little bit differently in that way. So it's kind of, I don't know if that's discrimination. It's just, I guess it's like just people's perspective or how they want to kind of put you in a box, if you will.
Right, because they pick up that maybe your accent is not 100%.
I can't do a Taiwanese accent.
Right.
I've tried, and there's no point.
Right.
Mark, how was your experience growing up in the thriving metropolis known as Kansas?
I do have to say, compared to like you growing up in New York, I do
And Connecticut. I just,
Oh,
I was born in New York, but yeah, go ahead.
Gotcha. But looking back now, I do feel like I was pretty fortunate. Growing up, I lived in a small farm town of like 6,000 people. And yeah, you would think like being around with a bunch of cowboys and farmers and like you're going to face like discrimination for like me being like one out of like, I think our town had like maybe 2 Asian people and me being one of them.
Wow.
So
Was the other one related to you or no? I'm just kidding.
surprisingly, no joke.
Yes.
He was actually also Korean adopted.
Oh, okay.
But the crazy thing was we never hung out. We had our own friends. So
He was your arch nemesis. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Okay.
But and I think back now, like I was wondering, like maybe why didn't I face more discrimination? And I think one of the reasons is because my adopted father, who adopted me, he was actually the chief of police. So and I'm sure everyone who knew who he was, and so they probably like kind of laid off on me. So not to say that I didn't face, I don't know, it's discriminate or maybe just bullying. So
Sure.
like I have like there was a couple kids, but other than that, like I was kind of surprised. Like actually I didn't face anything too negative. So
How about Taiwan? Your experience in Taiwan? Have you faced any type of stereotyping or kind of like that kind of thing?
maybe a little bit. Kind of what Ryan said reminded me of a story. So when I first came to Taichung, I first stayed with an American friend there, and he had lived in Taiwan for like 12 years. So his Chinese was pretty good. I think his wife was much better. But I remember one time he was trying to help me learn the bus system, like what bus number I need to take and what time I need to be at the bus station. And he had a little bit of a reading problem. Like he didn't understand all the Chinese. So he actually went into a nearby store to ask the boss, like, hey, can you come out and like help us with this, how to read this Chinese. And I remember when the boss came out and he immediately saw me and thought, oh, like this Asian person, like he knows Chinese. So he came to me and immediately just started speaking like Chinese to me. And I just arrived in Taiwan and I had almost like zero Chinese experience. So, and I was telling like, hey, sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. So, and my friend actually had to like try to make him understand, like he just arrived. He's actually American, and he was trying like using Chinese, of course, to explain all.
Was
this.
his face full of bewilderment and aghast, or how? What kind of reaction did he give you?
I do see like some Taiwanese. When they look at me, they see like I can't speak Chinese, and they do wonder like, why is he like not able to speak Chinese?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I do see some Taiwanese, they see my face and they think like maybe I'm from like Korea or Japan. So they like, even without me speaking, or when I do speak Chinese, like I guess I have some sort of like an accent. I had some Taiwanese, like sometimes they would speak Japanese to me, of course, and I don't know any Japanese. But I do kind of want to point out something really quickly. I don't know if this is considered discrimination or not, but I do remember when I first came to Taiwan, I was looking for a job to teach English at some bushibans, and I heard some stories like one school I tried to apply to, the boss said like a foreigner had just come in a day before I did, and he said he hired them immediately because he was Caucasian, and but he didn't really tell me if there was any positions available. But now that I think about it, like I think a lot of these bushibans are under the pressure of like the Taiwanese parents, because they're willing to take their kids to a bushiban or a school that has a foreigner there. So, and when I thought about it, I do kind of understand from their point of view, like they're trying to run a business. So if they can't generate money, then their school probably will have to close down.
Right.
So I know, Ryan, you don't teach English, but I was kind of curious, like, have you experienced anything here in Taiwan or Japan?
Yeah, something that was kind of interesting, I thought, was people would ask me, where are you from? And I would tell them, well, I'm originally from the U.S. And then when I do that, they think that I arrived just like a few weeks ago or like last
fresh
month.
off the boat.
Yeah, and then like when I tell them, oh, I've been in Asia for like 16 years now, then they're like really shocked. It's like, I guess, kind of unusual.
It's like, you're still alive? That kind of thing?
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I would say my overall experience has been pretty positive. But yeah, that is something that really interests me. Just like earlier, I guess about an hour ago before we came here to the studio to record, we had two guys walk up to us, and one guy, he wanted to like fist bump me or something like that. I was like, why? I don't know exactly. Is because I have blue hair or because I have white skin? I don't know what it is, but it's like the three of us are standing there like, why does he come up to me and like wanted fist bump? Maybe he saw me in a movie.
Well, in his defense, you are devastatingly handsome, like a
thank you.
modern day Marlon Brando, So, sorry to interrupt. I kind of want to jump back in to add to what Mark had said. I definitely had that experience because I've had over several years of teaching experience, bushibans, teaching adults, kindergartens, etc. So I've definitely had the thing where like I've come in, or I've had a good. They talk to them on the phone. It's very positive. They want me to come in and interview, and they see me, and it's not a look of disappointment, but they're like, oh. And they have to do it in a certain way where like, oh, we wanted a foreigner. And it's, with my personality, I want to F with them a little bit. So I'll be like, yeah, I am a foreigner. I was born in the States. Oh, but we meant, like, they want to say white, but they can't say it like that. So they have to be like, no, we want a foreigner. And it's kind of like, my last name is Chow. If you just read the last name, you should know that I'm probably going to be 95% Asian. So I think that's very interesting. And then to go back with what he said, I would say it's because it's what the parents want. So whatever the parents want is what the owner or the manager will have. And then even it's very interesting when you go to like different schools. I'm not going to say the names. They'll have like, little advertisements on the wall, and it'll be like a baby being held by like a white person. And it's just like, wow, the Lion King. So I think there's this kind of thing in Taiwanese parents' minds. So they just feel like if you're Caucasian, your English is the best. Whereas and I've had that in the States too, where people will come up to me and they're like, your English is really good. And I was like, I was born and raised in America, but still, your English is really good. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I definitely think it's a thing here. To piggyback on this also, I would also say just having friends and also coworkers. I don't want to say all, but for the majority, I've had some Caucasian friends, they go for an interview. They don't have to demo. A demo is usually you come in there and then they want you to teach a class for a couple minutes just to see how you handle it. I've had friends who've gone in, Caucasian, they just get offered the job. Unfortunately, that has never happened to me yet. I'm hoping and waiting, but it hasn't. And I've also had the other side where it's like black people or non-Caucasian. It's a little bit harder for them to get a job. Maybe they even have like a master's degree or they're really super qualified. So that's just, I don't want to say all Taiwanese managers in the education sector act like that, but I've definitely come across that kind of prevailing phenomena, I would say.
I do want to point out, I had heard usually some bushibans, they prefer like guys not have beards. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but I've heard like a lot of Taiwanese, they think a guy having a beard is like someone who's very dirty. So have you guys heard that before?
I don't know, but Mark, your beard is glorious, I have to say. You never shave it, okay?
Well,
that's all the time we have for today. Please be on the lookout for part 2 of the discrimination topic.
Please be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and other platforms.